There was one change I was absolutely devastated for their dastardly deed of decision, in that change in elementary to middle school. No, it wasn't that recess wouldn't be a thing anymore. I never really minded that. Do I look like I enjoy going outside and playing tag? It was the end of beloved story time. I absolutely love story time. It was probably the best time of the school day. Yes, better than recess. You and your class sit around with crisscross applesauce on the carpet as the teacher reads that one book that they say is really famous but none of you actually heard of. I will be that one kid that raises his hand every paragraph to ask a hypothetical about the story, and the teacher would always have to say, Weeby, I don't know. I didn't write the book. I probably participated more in 3rd grade story time than I did for all my elementary years. I wish we still had story time in middle and high school, but alas, this dream was destined to disintegrate in our developing digits. Man, I'm in a roll with these alliterations. So with storytime gone, I needed to find a replacement and fast because my ADHD brain cannot handle 6 hours of non-stop learning. And that's the moment I learned, hey, social studies is kind of like storytime. I mean, this story is called history and it's really long and it takes multiple years to tell, but it's a story nonetheless. It's got the word story literally in the word, and his, which apparently has no meaning. Look, I understand this wasn't the perfect replacement, but it was the closest thing I can get. What, am I supposed to find a secret story time in math? That's the equivalent of trying to find lore in Pong. You're looking for a thing that doesn't exist. Plus, history is kind of fun. What other school subjects do you constantly learn about fighting? And you get to learn about really messed up things, like feet binding. I don't think I can show that to you without YouTube getting mad, and even if I could, I wouldn't, for all our sake. Just Google feet binding if you're that curious. History's the whole package. We got violence, really messed up things like, and a little sprinkle of crapping on Christianity if it's global. And for me, history is so easy. I always do really good when it comes to comprehension checks in English class, as long as I care for the story. If I ever get like a 70 on a story comprehension test, it's because I hated it and probably never even finished the book. I'm getting off topic again. I care for the story of history because it has violence, inappropriate stuff, and all that jazz I talked about. But history is not everything in social studies, obviously. There's also government. I'm talking specifically about the US government, by the way, so all you metric users, get out of here. Who's the only global hyperpower, huh? That's right, us! Okay, now let's talk about the United States of America's government. It sucks. I know I just went on a rant about making America great again or whatever, but our government structure was a humongous pain in the butt to learn. There's like a million different branches of government, and they all have different jobs, different terms of office, or something. I would not be able to memorize all that if my life depended on it, but somehow, 5th grade me was able to. Somehow. A little side story, when I was tested on this, the teacher gave us the most easiest questions and covered like half the stuff we learned about government. I studied till midnight for the test through all my tears, and 80% of what I studied didn't even come on the test. I don't know whether or not I should be mad since I got a good grade on the test, but also I studied for too long. 12 a.m. is a big number for a 5th grader. I mean, a complex government is what we get in exchange for those life, liberty, and the pursuit of things. But everything has its pros and cons. You get to learn about cool history stuff in social studies, but you also have to learn about the complex government structure and 5 years of elementary school dedicated to freaking Native Americans. But that rant is for another day. The pro of recess is you have time for no schoolwork in school, but the con is you're always the first kid out in tag and the last one picked for kickball. That's not just me, right? Pros and cons are the balance of the world. It is the yin and the yang. Every good thing in the world is a bad thing. Eternal balance. Except story time, that's all just pros.